Questions and comments? The honourable member for Thornhill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague, a medical doctor by profession, for her speech today. Now, she mentioned the provinces. She mentioned prohibition. She didn't mention the fact that all responsibility for the sale, distribution, monitoring and enforcement of the laws have been downloaded by this federal government to the provinces. And in my province, my riding of Thornhill is in the province of Ontario, where cannabis will be distributed, the Premier has told us, by what is known as the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. Well, it was set up after Prohibition to control the distribution of alcohol, but it should be rightly characterized today as the Liquor Promotion Board of Ontario, because once a month a shiny, glossy magazine comes out, delivered to virtually every Ontarian, promoting the variety of exciting ways people can consume alcohol. How can the member ensure and guarantee Ontarians that the LCBO will not promote cannabis in exactly the same way, which would be counter to all of the concern we hear from the government side about the status quo not working, Canada being the largest youth consumer of marijuana and marijuana products, and how can they guarantee governments like Ontario aren't going to actually accelerate and increase the number of young people using cannabis?
Honourable member for Vancouver.
Thank you, and I appreciate the question. My colleague is a very thoughtful man, and I appreciate his question. I think that the idea of downloading, as he calls it, the sale and distribution and use of of cannabis to the provinces. At the moment, the provinces are responsible for the sale, use and distribution of alcohol. At the moment, the provinces are responsible for the sale, use and distribution of tobacco. So we are actually following what is an appropriate place for this to be monitored at the ground level, not somewhere up on high at a federal government. But the overarching legislation is still there. Now, the idea of promoting it is an interesting one, because in the legislation, it talks about fines for promotion. And so, obviously, this wasn't so for alcohol. We have legislation here that looks at promotion. And so the provinces are going to be guided by that idea of promoting this drug and of promoting it the way we see, obviously, alcohol being promoted. So the question, obviously, is that I think that we have learned some things from looking at tobacco and alcohol, and we're implementing here with regard to promotion. It took us a long time to stop the promotion, if you recall all the nice fireworks that we had that were run by tobacco companies. It took us a lot of time, and I was one of the people who fought in this House for us to stop that promotion. So we learned a lesson. We're not allowing for that kind of promotion to occur. Thank you.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Dauphin, Swan River, Nipawin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was astonished to hear my colleague opposite talk about the health benefits of marijuana, cannabis. Here's the CMA position, Canadian Medical Association. The CMA has long-standing concerns about the health risks associated with consuming marijuana, particularly in the smoked form. Children and youth are particularly at risk for marijuana-related harms, given their brain is undergoing rapid, extensive development. I'd like to focus, however, on the government's claim that somehow legalizing marijuana will put pay to the illegal trade. We have a perfect policy experiment that has just happened in the last decade or so, and that's the case of cigarettes. Cigarettes are legal, they're controlled, so-called, they're kept out of the hands of children and so on, yet the illegal trade has not only flourished, it has expanded. And that's because as you increase the taxes on quote-unquote the legal tobacco, it's very easy for organized crime to undercut the so-called government cigarettes, and the exact same thing will happen with marijuana. You want to increase the tax, you'll make the price so high that that organized crime will easily be able to undercut it.
I'm sorry. There's only so much time for questions and comments, and people have to keep their questions and comments short enough so we can get answers. The honourable member for Vancouver Centre, 30 seconds, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think, again, the member answered his own question. No one is talking here about raising taxes on anything. We're talking about regulating a drug that has very negative side effects. We're talking about keeping it out of the hands of our children. We're talking about regulating the ability to promote. We're talking about selling to youth. This is what we're doing here. We're not talking about taxes. I think the honourable member needs to read the legislation better.
Resuming debate, reprise de débat, l'honorable